Well, thank you. I think we are not yet in formulating, the intergovernmental process. More important is to identify these innovative ideas, these innovative approaches. That's, I think, where we sorely need support. Because if intergovernmental process, I think they just repeat and repeat, to bring in new ideas, new insights. I think that's really what we need at this moment in time, sir.
Thank you. This is Samir here from Keynovations. Well, we are discussing about so many issues which are happening over here, and the main thing is like the goals were not achieved. Reason behind that, drivers or whatsoever was required was not having the potential enough or the force enough to make it happen. So the workforce must be changed or improved. So the drivers must be redefined in a way that these goals can be reached, and redefined in the government sector, then the private sector, and then the local communities. Because it's always from the local level, which gets bigger to the national, and then it goes internationally. So it's always something which has to go from the ground level. So over here, something which can be implemented is the green economy model, where we are engaging all. So in this, we have different models which can be taken towards environmental friendly, involving people in these projects. So thereby we are improving the economy. We are getting poverty elevation over there, like poverty levels reduced. You're having more employment in this. On the other hand, you're not affecting the environment, and you're going towards a sustainable solution, because you're getting people who are employed. So thereby you're having a sustainable solution over there. Apart from that, there's revenue. And then you're not affecting the environment and having projects which are good for the environment. So having a green economy model would be a great driving force for having this all to happen and the goals to be achieved in a more sustainable way.
I like this one. But inclusive green economy model. Green economy model by definition is not good for the poor people. And so I think we really need to reflect on the discussion we had also in Rio. Sorry, sir?
So green economy model is something like, how do you perceive it yourself? Like each country would have a different vision towards how they define it. It's not a specific thing, it has different modules inside it. So it's upon you how you want to take it and how you want to utilize it. Like what resources you have and what resources you can develop from it. So it can be redefined and made in a manner which is more positive from where you are and what you want to take your country to.
Thank you. There are a number of issues that come through. The whole issue of governance come through time and again. The whole issue is that we are not making only recommendations for governments, but the private sector communities, that we have to differentiate and get everybody involved in this new development paradigm. There are quite a number of nice stories which come through. We don't have too much time because we would like to let you relax a bit before we go and party. I'm not sure if we need to relax before we go and party, but we would like to stop within the next couple of 5-10 minutes. But there are still some hands on, and then I still would like indeed just to see if there is some consensus about 3 key issues. I'm going also to ask the panel. Madam?
I'm not speaking as the rapporteur. My name is Hunter Lovins from Natural Capitalism Solutions. In regard to that, there is a broader issue, I think, that we face as a planet. In much of the world now, there is huge high unemployment. In some of the so-called rich countries, Spain, Italy, 25% unemployment, 50% unemployment in the young people. The economy of business as usual is going to go more and more towards disemploying people. And at the same time, there are the beginnings of small local green economies emerging that are more labor intensive, less capital intensive. Figuring this transition out as the dominant economy destroys jobs. Study out recently from the Kauffman Foundation, since 1977, in all but 7 years, the big companies have been net job destroyers. The only ones creating jobs are startups, entrepreneurs, small companies. So in many ways, this phenomenon goes hand in hand with reinventing the economy to better serve local needs, human needs, to enhance equality. Inequality in many respects comes from the big economic behemoth that is squashing people, squashing the environment, and increasingly squashing its own economy. It's not clear that economy can last. And part of, I think, what we need to be talking about is what is this transition? If we go through another '08-style economic collapse, many of the MDG goals will be simply lost. Post-2015, who's coming to the table with big pools of money? Nobody. It's not out there.
Well, thank you very much. There was, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, just very shortly, I just wanted to add the Women Nature Group in Rio Post-20, we didn't like the word green economy, we used just equitable and sustainable economy, just to bring that in back.
Well, thank you. Yes, please.
And just to add on to that a little bit, I think these discussions around local initiatives and these small-scale, greener economic initiatives are really important, but it's also important to remember the linkages that we have to think about in terms of environmental sustainability to the principles of equality and rights. And the risk there is that these small-scale initiatives will just replicate the dominant society and the dominant economic model. And if we don't think about, I think as in this group and elsewhere, how do we make some of those structural changes to address those issues, that we won't actually be in a better place?
Well, we really come to the real issues, you know. The economic model, but it's true. We don't only have an environmental crisis. We have a financial crisis. We have an energy crisis. We have 1 billion people go hungry to bed every year. You know, this is quite a good economic model, isn't it? So we really need, we need to, yeah, but that's good. You know, this is environmental sustainability, but we are going to start discussing the drivers. And that is, I think, what the message we have to bring. Not in such generic terms, that the people in inequality and the people in governance and the people in food see the same. We have to keep this emphasis on the environment, but I think we are in the right direction. Please, ma'am.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Carla Córdoba de Fundación Neotrópica acá en Costa Rica. Y nada más quería comentar un poquito, por acá me llegaron hace unos minutos el tema de la huella ecológica, el concepto de la huella ecológica. Creo que ese tipo de conceptos son sumamente poderosos para lo que queremos hacer aquí, que es simplemente transmitir la idea de que el tema de sostenibilidad ambiental no es un camioncito más, sino que está implícito y tiene que tener impacto en las demás áreas del desarrollo humano. Conceptos como estos que nos permiten entender fácil y rápido que nuestro planeta tiene límites, que si yo consumo más eso implica que otra persona consume menos en otra parte del mundo, y mi capacidad de consumo básicamente tiene un sustento de una injusticia socioambiental. Ese tipo de conceptos son poderosos y nos pueden permitir realmente transmitir esta idea. El tema de entender que no es un objetivo solamente 5 o 10 años, sino que es un proceso que nos debe servir para el resto de la historia de la humanidad, alguna especie como la Declaración de Derechos Humanos que no vence, que no tiene un periodo definido, sino que nos sirve para dirigir nuestras acciones a lo largo del tiempo, con adaptaciones, con implementación diferente. Esos conceptos son herramientas poderosas que deberíamos incluirle a esta forma de comunicar los objetivos que estamos queriendo proponer para esto de los y para que la gente los comprenda fácilmente y para que puedan ser aplicables a nivel internacional y a nivel local también, que sean herramientas útiles, para que la gente pueda sentir que puede hacer algo en su entorno inmediato también, no solamente a las esferas internacionales. Gracias.
Thank you. Chris Briggs, can you just quickly summarize in English? No? Oh, sorry. Yeah, because everybody had the, can you?
No, but after like half.
I mean, maybe what we should do is when people start talking in Spanish, and of course with great pleasure do so, but just tell us 2 minutes. Because, before everybody has, their earphone back in, half of the sentence is gone, and then it's a little bit difficult to follow. You want to slowly? Yes, exactly.
No, lo que decía es que para poder realmente transmitir esos conceptos que queremos ir acá, que queremos hacer que la gente comprenda que nuestro planeta tiene límites, pero que tampoco queremos decir que límites al desarrollo, sino queremos transmitir esa idea. Podemos usar herramientas indicadores que nos permiten que la gente comprenda claramente que su impacto individual implica también un impacto en el planeta, que implica que si yo consumo más, está sustentado en que alguien está consumiendo menos. Que alguien está consumiendo menos está basado en una injusticia socioambiental. Si usamos unos conceptos tan poderosos y logramos imprimirlos en las propuestas para después del 2015, podríamos hacer que sean más entendibles, más fáciles de aplicar con la gente en los niveles comunitarios y en los niveles internacionales. Y decía también que deberíamos también poder pensar en cómo construir unos objetivos, unas metas o unos retos que no mueran en el tiempo, ¿verdad? Que no nos pase esto que estamos viviendo ahora, que decimos, bueno, se nos van acabando los objetivos hasta el 2015, no va a haber fondos para después del 2015 para poder seguir implementando. Que podríamos más bien pensar en cómo hacer para crear una estructura que permanezca, algo como lo fue en su momento. Algo como lo fue en su momento, como lo es, por ejemplo, la Declaración de Derechos Humanos, que nos sirve para guiar el trabajo y la organización a lo largo del tiempo, y no solamente en un periodo específico. Tal vez sería una forma de poder plantear cosas que puedan hacer que la gente entienda esto y que permanezcan más allá de una meta específica.
Well, thank you very much, and please, do speak in different languages, but you also learned the second thing, do speak in the microphone. Looking at the time, I just want to try, if it is possible, if either the panel, wants to formulate one key new idea, innovative idea, or one major driver of change. Yes, please.
I think one of the themes coming through is the importance of diverse local economies. They're embedded in ecosystems and they're addressing the environmental problems that we face, land degradation, ecosystem restoration, etc. Because this is actually proven in my own experience to be generating the kind of livelihoods for communities, as well as addressing key environmental challenges. So I think we need to look a little bit at this issue of diverse local economies as a key contribution.
Can I see a show of hands? Who would agree with this one? Oh yeah, right a bit. Okay, great. Somebody else who volunteered? Sir?
Yes, I think the other side of the coin of a diverse local economy is a globalized economy. And I think one of the issues I haven't heard strongly enough today is the issue of responsible consumption, and really address the issue of consumption in these
How
sustainable.
will you do this?
Well, it's
We have been saying that has been saying this for a
well,
long
exactly.
time.
I think it's to really measure what it means to be consuming goods that come from across the planet in terms of the carbon footprint, but also in terms of the ecological footprint they cause in their country of origin, and to really be able to measure that in a way that it has to do with the young lady's comment on the ecological footprint. But I think if we translate that into consumption patterns and what that means, what kind of development are we talking about? I'm just going to give a quick example. China is today the motor behind globalization and economic development today, but it has a disastrous ecological footprint. It has one of the worst environmental qualities in the world. So, that's where you have a complete decoupling between economic growth and environmental quality, because it's also linked to consumption in worldwide. So how can we link consumption to it?
Do we have a Chinese in the room?
Oh, well.
They might not agree with your statement.
No, my name is Anthony Chu, I'm from the Philippines. Well, Asia Pacific, there are 68 economies, and with the increasing population, I totally agree that we need sustainable and responsible consumption. But with increased population, we understand that it's also equivalent to the increased needs of resources. And that's therefore, that's why we need a model of green economy, and under such context, a green industry. We need to green the industry and have a greening the existing industry.
Yes, please, ma'am.
It all depends what you mean by green, because for us, green means really dead for our lands, because what maybe green is recycling in the northern hemisphere, and the south means the land grabbing for African palm onto sugar cane and the displacement of thousands of people. So you can have a green economy that works, but not for the south, for sure. So we have to define too the terminology, because it's really different from one place to the other. So I don't agree with it in the south.
And we need to come to some agreement, but you know, this is something we hear very often and we have to explain this. Sir?
Very briefly, what struck me in this discussion is that as much as we're talking about environment, we're basically talking about models of how we operate economies. And that's the very essence of it all. Because after all what we do is we try to feed today 7 and in the future 9 billion people somehow, and that costs some environment. So the essence of all the environmental discussion is the essence of how do we operate at the global, national, and very much the local level, and to which extent what the resources we ever have we can use in such a way that hopefully we can still feed 9 billion people without taking away what makes feeding them.
A quick show of hands. To revisit models, how we operate economies. Would you agree that this is a key issue?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, wow, yes. Okay. Sorry, there were, yeah, sorry, sir. I'm coming,
It's not a new issue. It's not just
No, it's not a new issue. And then how you do it is the next question. I'm not yet there.
Thank you very much. I would just like to bring on the table, I think a very interesting issue here is, what do we exactly mean with environmental sustainability might not be the same from two kind of perspectives. If we take into consideration the global economic models, the ones who are from developed countries actually, with the financial crisis, with these models actually going out of steam, when we're talking about transition into green economy and environmental sustainability, it's more about new niches for new market, manufacturing renewable energy, technologies such as solar panels, wind turbines, and so on and so forth, and selling them in markets in developing countries. So this is something that will help these economies out of steam, try to gain new market in developing countries. The same thing apply, for example, for different mechanisms, like going to Cameroon, Africa, catching the eucalyptus forest and planting palm oil. In the same forest and making other money. So we're greening, but it's not really within the framework of a holistic environmental sustainability approach. It's rather from a profit in the name of development, in the name of sustainable development perspective. So I think we should really be very careful here. And the option I'm suggesting is, we're talking about building pressure globally, from now till 2015 for the post-2015 development agenda. I think this pressure should go beyond 2015 development agenda, just to make sure we understand the same thing behind environmental sustainability, And two things I would like to mention. We talked on my group about capping our utilization of resources. So should we go this direction and try to come up with clear targets? We all know that the planet is limited in terms of production of resources. The ecosystem services are known. So we need to, so we know the planet boundaries and limits, then our utilization of resources should be somehow reasonably measured and managed. So could we go this way? And especially by putting, much more emphasis on the ecosystem services, because this is really something very strategic and we need to focus on. Thanks.
Well, thank you. You were already going deeper in how do we do these new models, because we were quickly reflecting here, that we need new models for how to operate the economy is not new. We have had it for a long time. The question we have to answer here maybe tomorrow is how are we going to do this one in realistic terms? Sir, and then I'm going to go back to the panel because otherwise we will never stop, isn't it? Sir, that last one. We have the panel, sir.
Yeah, very quickly, just to comment on something that has been concerning me a little bit during the last months. And it's the fact that we are assuming, or in many discussions, we are assuming that all of the outcome of Rio +20 was just the SDGs process. And there is a lot of very rich decisions there regarding many thematic areas, but particularly on green economy, linking green economy efforts to poverty eradication, sustainable management of resources, and many other specificities that are already agreed in the Rio +20 outcome. So there is a very rich framework. We don't need to repeat absolutely every word that is there, but let's bear in mind that Rio +20 was more than just the launching of the SDG process, and there is already many rich opportunities to start immediately working and not waiting, just to the new framework to be developed.
Thank you, Annika. You were also saying this morning, isn't it? Along the same lines. Okay, can I then 1 minute, half a second? No, yeah. Okay, go.
Okay, this is green economy in agriculture, how employment rate increased and how it affected the environment. Year 1996, 1998, India and Sri Lanka, they used mangrove plantation to make a better area for tea plantation over there. That increased employment rate in the tea manufacturing industry, and that way they were not affecting the environment as well. So green economy can be implemented in different ways in different places. So now you're not affecting the employment rate and you're getting a better environment.
Quick reaction?
I think in countries like where there is a scarcity of land, maybe India is big enough. I know India is looking for places to grow food because they have all these agro-business. But especially mango, atomic for the northern countries. But what we need is to see Guatemala, for example, is the center of origin of the species. It's Mesoamerica, is the center of origin of civilization. And it's the #1 country malnourished in the hemisphere. #1. #1, even second after Haiti. And so we need to grow things that we eat, and we cannot be supporting this green economy so countries can have their own ethanol for the cars. We cannot feed cars anymore. We cannot feed others. We need to feed our own stomachs. So green economy doesn't mean Via Campesina has been said no to green economy, and in Rio de Janeiro they already have that green economy issue already made up. So I think there's the United Nations has a lot of lobbying from all these green economy companies, and so it's not surprised that they already had that wrapped up when we got there. Thanks.
No. Over the glass of wine. I think if we can get together over a glass of wine and solve this issue, and then tomorrow we move forward. I have to look at George. George, can I continue for 5 more minutes? 10 more minutes? Because I really would like the panel to have the last word. Half a minute, please.
A way to actually eradicate this fantastic biodiversity. That was a UNESCO report